Welcome to Working Dog Radio.
All right, we are back. Working Dog Radio, broadcasting the bite. I am Ted Summers from Tulsa, Oklahoma, as most of the time usual, as always. With me from Canton, Ohio is Eric Stamber. Eric, what's up?
I forgot to turn off one of the lights. I just realized I look like I'm sitting under the sun.
Yeah.
But it is not sunny out. So. Just doing the pet thing. And
yeah, you got bit today?
No, I was doing an eval. So on the pet side of the house, and most pet trainers will tell you that German Shepherds are the most dogs that we train. Everybody, the breed-wise, is the best. But it's the only breed that I require, no matter what the people say, no matter what they're doing, they have to come in and do an in-person eval. Have to. Because we just see things aren't as bad as they say a lot of times, and sometimes aren't as good as they think. Usually it's just anxious and fearful, and so that determines, is the dog going to be in our facility? And can an 18-year-old kennel tech handle the dog without getting bit? Or is the dog going to be at a trainer's house? And then our outside trainers, we don't have that many anymore, and they don't take as many dogs. So not that I'm trying to jam them in the building, but this particular dog, so reactive German Shepherd, he tried to bite me twice for sure.
Yeah. We did
not aggression either, fear.
Yeah, that's sick. Yeah.
I don't poo-poo fear because most pet bites are fear bites.
100%.
So, yeah, he went for my stomach, and I was like, "Ole, woo!" I'm like, "You got to be faster than that, bitch!" And then he tried it again at the end. The lady stepped in front of him, kind of thied him in the head. But most of the time, I put an e-collar on him while they were there, and I just used that strong vibrate, and that shut most of that shit down. So, anyways, yeah, what's going on there?
I got a handler school going. I'm in the second week. I just got back from Bulgaria at our facility over there. Going well, and the facility's looking good. We've spent a lot of time training with our trainers, Laura and Ivan and Georgi. So, yeah, it's going to be a pretty cool project. I think in the interim, we're going to start kind of bringing in some green dogs into that facility, doing a little bit of pre-training, how we like it done. And since we're kind of connected to the National Veterinary University there, having all the vet shit done, all that stuff done over there, I'm talking to them about getting gastropexies done while they're in Europe before we send them over. We included teeth x-rays after one of the last interviews we did. I was like, hey, I want x-rays of their head now too. And they were kind of like, why? And one of them knew. They're like, oh yeah, because you can actually tell how old the dog is. So yeah, it was a pretty interesting trip. I got to knock something off my bucket list a long time ago when I was in college. I had to take a class about religion, which was not real happy about.
This episode is brought to you by KINETIC Dog Food, KINETICDogFood.com. Ted and I love it, man. It's such a really, really good high-performance dog food, but also their 24K formula. We use it for training. It is amazing. A nice big piece. No chicken in that particular formula. So if you get a new dog in from Europe, you don't know if he's allergic or not, don't worry about it. Check it out, KINETICDogFood.com.
Our friends out in North Carolina at Highland Canine Training run great green and Finnish dog programs, as well as an online and in-person police supervisor course. Hit them up at HighlandCanineTraining.com. That's letter K number 9, HighlandCanine.com. 30% off the discount code WDR30.
This episode also brought to you by Horizon Structures, HorizonStructures.com. They will custom build you a kennel, drop it off, hook it up to your water and electric, and have that thing running with dogs in it the same day. They can custom build one. They got some already pre-built. Check them out on their website, HorizonStructures.com. Anything you need from mild to wild, they're there.
One of the longtime supporters of the show has been Ray Allen Canine in Colorado Springs, Colorado. They've been around forever. RayAllen.com, where you can buy literally everything but the handler of the dog and the patrol vehicle. Everything else you can get from them. Hit them up, WDR10RAY for 10% off your order. That's WDR, the numbers 10RAY.
One of our longest sponsors is DOGTRA, DOGTRA Official, DOGTRA.com. We love DOGTRA. Their products are so good. Their e-collars, their ball poppers. Ted uses all kinds of different things at his place, from pet dog e-collars to working dog e-collars. He loves the hands-free 1900S. They've come out with some new models lately. and an amazing new bark collar called the Smart Bark Collar. Check them out. DOGTRA.com, WDR10 for 10% off a single item over $200. DOGTRA.com.
Somebody that's been with us since the beginning is Arnaud out in Vegas at ALM Canine Equipment. As if you follow me on social media, you see me wearing my ALM suits all the time. It's all I wear. I've got several of them. Eric's got several of them. We love Arnaud. We love ALM, custom made in Vegas. WDR or WD Radio for 10% off. That's WD Radio for 10% off. ALM Canine Equipment. That's letter K, number 9. ALMCanineEquipment.com. So, and it was like a mandatory elective. So I picked a class that fit into my schedule, and it happened to be Eastern Orthodox religion. So after this class, I was real kind of interested in like the iconography and like the culture and everything else. And Rila Monastery, which is in Bulgaria, is just south of Sofia. It's kind of it's on the UNESCO Heritage Site, and it's kind of the largest repository of like Bulgarian culture and Eastern Orthodox like religious stuff. And I've been to the Vatican and the Duomo, and I've been to the Notre Dame in Paris, and I've been to a lot of giant churches, and this place was like way more impressive than any of those other things that are like a tenth of the size. It was insane. And it sits up in this mountain, like in this little valley by itself at the end of a road. It was nuts. Super cool experience. But, many years ago, I was like, there's no way I'm going to be able to see this thing. Like, I'll have no reason to ever go to Bulgaria. I mean, what the fuck am I going to, most Americans can't find it on a map anyway. So I was like, what? And turns out I got the opportunity. So if you're listening and you get a chance to go to Bulgaria and you get to go see Rila Monastery, you should go. It's definitely worth the trip for sure. So I'm planning on heading back in probably February to bring over another batch of dogs that we're currently kind of buying and pre-training and stuff. So they're working on the puppy program with some of our trainers there. They have 6 puppies right now that are nice dogs. 5 of the 6 of them are a little spicy. So yeah, things are looking up. So outside of that, what do you got going on besides getting bit by fucking pets?
Yeah, just trying to avoid that. Just working dogs. I have Akron with me tomorrow. They're getting a bunch of them have to recert in a couple of weeks, so we're just gonna mess with that and just going to jujitsu, and that's about it, really. Honestly, my son and his fiance and my grandson are coming in tomorrow, flying in at night. I can say it now. It's a surprise. My daughter doesn't know that they're coming, so she won't hear this until afterwards. So that's good. They're coming for Thanksgiving. He's 7 months old now, the boy, the little baby. So I'm excited. Looking forward to it. I'm sure I'll have to still do some kennel stuff. Fucking holidays. But anyway, so let's get going.
Yep.
So our guest tonight is a buddy of mine that we've been talking for a while. We really talked some dog stuff, and we talked jujitsu. We're going to talk a little bit about jujitsu tonight. We normally don't get to, but we're going to talk a little bit about it. I just was down there. He's with the Orange County, Florida Sheriff's Department. It's a large unit. They're 20 plus dogs. There's a lot going on in that unit. There's a very busy agency. The whole area around Orlando and everything, all that, they get at it. We had a great time. I went down and did my seminar there. We trained in the evening, so during the daytime, him and I went and did jiu-jitsu because he's a black belt in jiu-jitsu, and we're going to talk about that. He was a brown belt when I met him, so I take credit for that. But he got promoted. We had a good time. We went to the noon class. He taught me some murder, which I've been using and passing on to some white belt Padawans. They're like, hey, that guy's his second class. I'm like, cool, come here. This is how you kill somebody. And we do that. We kill them through pressure. But we got to talking while we were down there, and they have a really unique situation where he gets to be a trainer and is a supervisor. And we were talking and lamenting about the fact that there's not a lot of really good guys that speak at things about leadership of the canine program. Our canine at my old unit, the whoever was the training sergeant that year, it was a bid position. Usually would be the same guy for a couple years. They were in charge as the sergeant, and then they had a lieutenant and captain. Never were they canine handlers. They were just administratively in charge of it, and they never came out. It was just one of their duties. But having a guy in charge who is actually still handling dog, but training the dogs, he has a unique perspective. I'd really like to try to get him on the teaching circuit at some of these conferences. So I'm like, let's start it here and we'll talk. So without further ado, Rob Lees from Florida. How are you, buddy?
Good. How you doing?
Good. It's good to see you again.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a good time down there.
You've been cooking people, as we called it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Cooking them. Yeah. I was teaching them that too. I go, listen, I stop here and I cook them and I take a break and I go, and I'm telling you, they're also taking a break because by the time we get to this certain position, they were in mount or whatever. So they're dying, but we'll get into that in a little bit. Let's talk about your history, where you come from and how we got to today.
Yeah. So, about 2 weeks, it'll be 20 years for me as in law enforcement here. I've only been at this agency in Orange County, and like I started off like everybody in patrol. The first few years, I was a detective, was in our traffic unit, was a field training officer. I got promoted around 2012 to a corporal position for our agency, and kind of bounced around with the traffic unit again. I was actually spent a few years in our new hire training program. So I oversaw everyone from when they graduated the academy until they finished field training. And so I took a lot of that stuff that I learned dealing with new hires and brought it over to KINETIC when I started training here. Also was on the hostage negotiation team for like 10 years here, which was actually a pretty busy team. I didn't realize they were that busy when I got on there. But when I got into KINETIC about 2014, 2015, I kind of like retired from that team, just kind of focused everything on KINETIC. So I came over as a supervisor with like no dog handling experience whatsoever. So, and it's funny that when I came over, they had corporals in my unit that got promoted in place. So they had never in the history of our unit, like ever interviewed for a corporal before, because those guys just stayed and retired. So like I was like the first one to actually go through an interview process for this position. But yeah, that was probably about 2015. And then since then I worked a dog and became a trainer for our agency. I'm an evaluator for the state now. And then now like about 2 years ago, they created this like full-time training position for me, which is, it's full-time training, but I'm still a supervisor. Like I didn't get to get rid of any of those responsibilities. And then, and I'm still having to handle a dog now too. So I got a new dog on Sunday that I'm going to have to put through school here soon.
So Ted, when I was down there, I was doing my PowerPoint and I was lamenting of the my hatred for admins.
Was there one in the room?
I'm looking in the back of the room and I'm like, I don't know, that guy looks like he looks pretty squared away, but he looks like he might be a boss of some sort. And then he had to leave.
I didn't know 100%. That's an.
He got up and left, and then I go, hey. He said, yeah, it was the captain. I go, did I piss him off? He goes, no, he had to go somewhere. Good dude, like squared away, like in shape, not a tub of lard. He came back around, got to talk to him. Everybody was real cool. So at Orange County, total with all the dogs you deal with and everybody that you have, you guys like 30 something or something like that.
So we're slated for 35 dogs agency wide.
That's huge.
Our canine unit, which is why I primarily like supervise. We have 2 squads of 11, so we have 22 dogs just in our canine unit, and then the rest of the dogs are spread out like drug dogs throughout the agency. But I oversee all their training as well for all of our like single purpose drug dogs.
You guys got any? I can't remember. You got any therapy dogs?
Yeah, 2 therapy. I don't do anything with them, but we do have 2 therapy dogs also. But
dude, this is it's a big county, right? So they have, green and a lot of space. So there's a lot of city area there, and they have a couple bloodhounds. And weren't you telling me that like they find fucking everybody? Yeah.
So we have 2 bloodhounds. I got to do a school here for 2 additional ones here in about a month. But the bloodhound that I supervise, I trained her dog in school about a year and a half, 2 years ago. And like this year so far, I think she's up to like 18 like tracked 18 people down and found them. Like I want to say like 15 or 16 of them were just missing people all the time. We had a lot of Alzheimer's, a lot of
Amber Silver Alert. Yeah.
Yeah. But she deploys for like a lot of stuff that we can't deploy a bite dog for. She deploys for. So like she's got a lot of misdemeanor catches and stuff. Like once they get to the end of that track, like a lot of these guys don't know that the dog can't bite, but she usually brings a team of people with her to go make contact with them.
Yeah, and I've been super critical over the years about using non-biting dogs for tracking criminals. But that's not a bad idea for like the guy who runs from a whatever misdemeanor crime. You can use that dog to track him down. That and a drone together is pretty hard to beat.
Yeah, and she's also like, she's tracked people and then the information changes and becomes like a little more dangerous. And she's been able to like narrow down, and then we bring in a bite dog to kind of finish it up. And that kind of saves the dog, a lot of energy not having to track that far. And quite honestly, some of the dogs probably would have tracked that far anyways. So, like, without her, we wouldn't have gotten him anyways.
For those of you who listen to this and you're in some pussy-ass liberal state, I feel bad for you. Because these guys down in Florida are getting the fuck at it. I met a guy, he's like, one of the handlers was like, yeah, I've been out of school for like 8 days. I have 2 bites already.
Yeah.
I was like, damn, dude, I love it. Do it.
Yeah,
and they're doing the right thing. Like, they're not cowboying it. They're biting people that meet all the criteria, and they got policies and everything like that. They're really great training facility. So, what made you want to be that supervisor?
So, I mean, originally, like when I started being a deputy here, I really didn't, I wanted to be canine, but the way the unit was back when I started, I wasn't willing to just like to sit around and wait for a spot. Like, they weren't very welcoming at the time. And like these guys, like they didn't leave. They eventually retire and then a spot would come open. So I kind of went and explored other things and then, decided I was just going to try and get promoted. At one point I kind of wanted to be a captain, and kind of like run my own little sector. And then when I got to be a corporal, I found out that they were going to have an opening for corporal, and it was kind of a big deal since I never had one before. And, I just kind of like threw my name in that hat. And when I interviewed for the spot and I'm getting the spot, I ended up actually getting like offered a promotion to sergeant, and I turned it down to to do the canine thing. So, and I haven't tested for sergeant since. And I just like, this is probably what I'm going to do for the rest of my career. To me, it's the greatest job in the world.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I like that. This episode is brought to you by DOGTRA, DOGTRA official, DOGTRA.com. You guys have heard us talk about it. We've been with DOGTRA for a long time. We love them. They're amazing people. We love their product. There's so many different things that they do. The 1900S, the hands-free. They got all kinds of things, poppers, droppers, all kinds of different things with their e-collar. But I have been a proponent of their YS600 bark collars for a long time. Everybody knows I talk about it. When I had the kennel open, I would come in and show videos of all the dogs being quiet. The YS600, they have the YS300 for smaller dogs. But here's the thing, guys. They just came out with a bark collar called the Smart Bark Collar. Dude, this thing is amazing. It attaches to an app on your phone. You can control everything out of it, see in real time what's working, what isn't working with the dog. But here's the kicker. It catches whining. That's the big deal with that Smart Bark Collar. It catches the whining, because we all know your dogs learn to whine underneath the threshold of other bark collars, and it's super annoying. But with that Smart Bark Collar, it catches the whining. And in the app, while it's working, you can just reach up and hit the vibrate button. There's a little button on your thing that'll vibrate that if that seems to work a little bit better for your dog. Or you can actually administer your own stim as a little bit extra if need be. You can set minimums, maximums, sensitivity levels to pick up that whining. Check out DOGTRA.com. They have a discount code WDR10, 10% off a single item over $200. But check out that Smart Bark Collar, guys. It is amazing. We've been messing with it in my facility, and my employees absolutely love it. Check them out, DOGTRA.com.
That's what you did. That's what you did, Eric. You stayed as a patrolman your entire fucking career to stay with dogs and guns.
Yeah, I stayed with patrolmen, made no money. They make more down there, but you do. I don't know if it was you and me. One of the guys I was talking to, when I was coming up and looking at maybe leaving Ohio. People are like, "Oh, go to Florida." Florida people, cops didn't make shit, nothing. And some of them probably still don't. But now you guys are making a living, like doing okay.
Yeah, we get a lot of like out of state people coming down here. I think also though, like I think our retirement was also always better from what I hear from like especially guys from up north. Like they got paid more, I think, in salary, but I don't think their retirement went as high as ours does. Like you could retire in Florida with 100% pension.
Oh, we didn't. Yeah.
If you do like 33 years, you can retire 100% of your pension here.
33 years in Ohio, then you max out at like 73% or 72%. That's not good.
Yeah, so we get a lot of guys, especially nowadays. Like the state's offering, I think like $5,000 for out of state lateral transfers to come down. So we get a lot of guys coming from like the northern states here, better weather. They're getting paid pretty decently. Retirement's pretty good.
They get to do their job.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's been a deal. Like, I have a lot of dogs in Texas, and that's the thing. Like, Texas is poaching people. Like, they'll go to Southern California and be like, "Hey, this is the kind of house you can buy in Southern California."
Oh, dude,
Texas.
this whole realty page is
yeah, no shit. And then they're like, "Yeah, and you get to do your job." Yeah. They're like, "What?" Yeah. So I've, in fact, one of my handlers now, Brad, is from Southern California. He handles the dog in a department in Texas, and he handled a dog in California, and now he handles one in Texas. But he moved from California to Texas. So
yeah, they'll show you like this is what $225,000 gets you in Midland, Texas, and they show it. It's a fucking mansion.
Well, it's Midland, Texas, though. Nobody, yeah.
Right. But where I
live in Midland, don't at me. I mean, I'm talking about like the Dallas, like Austin area, fucking Dallas, Austin, Houston, like San Antonio.
It ain't
like,
cheap around Fort Worth where my son lives. They pay.
No, it is not cheap. Like, but they do pay well for sure. Yeah. So,
what is your like? Here's the difference between a lot of guys that are like the supervisors of the unit or the trainers of the unit. You got a big unit. That sounded weird, but Rob is also does a significant amount of the decoying.
Yeah,
in building the dog. So he's in there doing it. He doesn't have to. He understands there's value in that. And listen, they all have suits, and some guys do it. Some guys. Couple guys that were there while I was there really liked, like they were jonesing to get in the suit, and they did really nice. Other guys, it's not their thing. But what's your training philosophy? Let's go over that first.
I guess philosophy wise, I like the dogs to have good foundations. So we spent a lot of time, like take a basic handler school. The first few weeks, like we're spending a lot of time just getting the basic obedience down. We buy green dogs. So we're inputting like, basic sits, downs, stays, all that on them. And then a lot of times we're getting green handlers. So you green handler, green dog, want to make sure they get like a nice foundation that,
before we go through this, like you and I were talking beforehand, for the rest of the country listening, this is the 460 hour course.
480,
right?
480, yeah.
480, sorry. So it's 480 hours. So like, if you're listening to this, you're like, holy shit, you spent 2 weeks on obedience. Like, you're like, yeah, but you're there for fucking 4 months. So, like,
it's 12 weeks long. So
yeah. So,
usually and so, like in Florida too, that 480 course includes a classroom portion. So, I'll usually do the classroom portion the first 2 weeks and then input, like, have them doing obedience. Cause, like, you get green handlers, they don't know what a verbal mark is. Some of them have never owned a dog. I had a handler one time that, I'm watching him with a leash and I'm like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, I've never had a dog before. And I'm like, "You're like 30 years old. You never owned a dog?" And he's like, "No." I was like, "What pets have you had?" He's like, "I had a pet bass." And so I'm like, all right,
Florida.
so teaching
yeah,
him,
it's 100% Florida shit. Like,
yeah, like he asked one of the other handlers, like, "Hey, is it okay if I give the dog like tap water or do I have to give him bottled water?" And like I overheard him and I'm like,
you're like, "Dude, he licks his own ass and he's cat shit. He's fine. You're good."
So, yeah. So you got to figure like that's who you're starting with. And so you have to teach them just basic, like I go into like, this is a choke chain. This is a dominant collar. This is a pinch collar. These are what they're for. Part of that classroom portion, like we go over like history of canine. Cause I really think it's important that these guys learn their craft and like where they came from and everything. And so I like to get good foundations on the dog. And then from that point, like we kind of build complexity into the training. So I have a school going on right now I have one green handler, 2 returning handlers in the school. In Florida, like you only have to do the 480 for the first school. After that, the state says it's a minimum of 80 hours. But my agency, like when I came in, and became the trainer here, we didn't have like any standards, no lesson plans. Like I wrote all of these things. And so part of that was like, hey, if you're coming through, we're going to do a minimum of 400 hours because we have green dogs. You're going to do 10 weeks, whether you're returning handler or not, to make sure we get to the same level, you know? So these guys are coming in and the school I have now, that they're going to graduate on the 9th of December. And like next week, it's all, you know, scenarios, tactical scenarios, like teaching them how to do building search tactics, because the dogs already have all of that other stuff in them, you know? And I look at other agencies that I've trained with, or even how my agency used to be. The focus at the end of the school was always to get the dog to certify. And for me, like that's the focus at the end of my school, is to get the dog to go out there on the streets and, you know, go be a hammer.
To work.
Yeah. Yeah.
To do what we're trained to do, what you're trained to do, not what you're certified to do.
Yeah. It's like certification is the floor, right? Like let's get to that as quick as possible. And then let's see what kind of dog that we really have, right?
So
you can get any dog to certify.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. And it's the lowest common denominator. And, you know, that's what, like, in our seminars, we talk about that. And I'm like, it's the lowest common denominator. It's not an accurate or a good predictor of success in the field in an actual deployment. And, you know, it's one of those things. And if you're training 364 days a year for one day, like, you're probably not doing it correctly, and you're probably going to have some stories about failures. So you mentioned something though. So we talk about this 480-hour course. You only have to do it once. I don't remember which guest we had on for Florida, but at one point there was some talk about a one and done policy in Florida, like to rotate through mandatory specialties. So has that gone anywhere? Do you guys do that? Do you, as a supervisor, like if you have experienced handlers that have already done the class, that already know what's up, that don't have to go through another 480-hour class, how valuable is that to keep those guys in the unit?
So I think that's agency specific.
Yeah, I don't remember who we were. Eric, do you remember who we were talking to? That was they were. But they were talking about.
I see it a lot. It's pretty crappy.
Well, that's sort of where I'm going with this, because he's a supervisor. So, and I see it a lot too. And people are like, "Oh, you have to give somebody else a chance." You're like, just add another position then.
Yeah.
Like if that's what you really like.
Life ain't fair.
It's kind of like a double-edged sword sometimes, because you want the experience in the unit. We had a guy that retired a few years ago. He did 33 years as a canine handler. And like, you can't replace that experience, right? Like the knowledge and, you know, of all the calls he went on. But on the other hand, you know, I think sometimes it can encourage people to stay that, you know, maybe other guys need to come in, especially when you get older and you don't have that fire in you anymore. And, you know, to take another dog. I know guys that have left the unit, because like their dog was retiring and they're looking at their age, and I was told a while back, like, it's a young man's game. And, you know, I'm only 42 now, but I mean, I can see it. Like, we got a guy in our unit now, like, he's 59 years old, and he was our star student at the
yeah, he was. Yeah, I love that dude.
But man, he's 59, but when you see him moving and working with a dog, he doesn't look 59. You know, he keeps up with the young guys out here, but he's still got that fire in him. Like, I've always said, like, if something were to happen to me, if I got, you know, shot in line of duty, he's the first handler that I want deploying his dog to go find him, because he won't give up. And, you know, that doesn't have to do with age at all. But we've got, like, in the last 2 years of my unit, I want to say, like, probably 75% of my unit has less than 3 years experience as a handler. We just kind of, through attrition and retirements, our unit got real young, real fast. And it's been kind of a blessing, because these guys are like, they're getting after it out there. They're like full of energy. But on the other hand, like, I'm dealing with a lot of young, inexperienced handler problems out there on the streets, which, you know, keeps me, it's job
dumb
security.
shit.
Keeps me busy though,
Yeah.
you know?
You're like, he did what?
Yeah. Yeah. Get a lot of that, you know? And then, you know, you're dealing with, like, I'm watching these, like, body cam videos of them, and I'm like watching them deploy their dogs. Like, why is he doing that? You know, and we had one the other night where the guy, he texted me and he's like, he had a bite. It was actually the guy you were talking about earlier. He's got his third one now. And he was like, yeah, I got a bite. Everything's good. You're going to yell at me because I wasn't reading the dog. And so I watched the video. And I'm like, yeah, he's not reading the dog, but he got it because he never gave up, you know?
Mm-hmm. So that's important. Like a couple things there. One is not just, you get a lot of time that you don't have to really focus on the certification so much because, so this guy's been 12 weeks out of school, has 3 bites already. Mm-hmm. That's a career for some dogs.
Yeah.
So they got to be able to hit the road. And that's the way my agency was. There's a good chance your first week on the street in Canton, you're going to get a bite. It's possible anyways. But then it's a good testament to the culture. And I don't know if you had to change any of the culture there when you got in. I kind of did. It was just a little stagnant where training days were, we're going to come in, we're going to fuck around, an hour and a half taking shits and drinking coffee and bullshitting. And then maybe we'll do something, go to lunch, do something else and sneak out. And I came in, I was like, nah, we ain't doing any of that shit, man. Fucking, we started at 8:30. We're out the door. Let's go. Hope you got your shits in already. And let's go. We're going to work. But so like the guy you're talking about, the 59-year-old, it's a good testament because he's got a brand new dog and that dog is, a lot of 59-year-olds couldn't handle that dog, right? This dog was all about it.
Yeah.
And he bought in. I gave him a ton of credit. He bought into me and my system because you had kind of preempted it and said, hey, this is good stuff, because he never used an e-collar, ever.
Never.
And by the time we left, so Ted, so the first day we do the class and then I break up into different rooms and everything, and we're doing negative reinforcement, throw food, they get it, and you hold stim till they turn. So we're just relayering the collar or layering the collar on new dogs. Every rep that first day is stim before command, right? So I go around, I'm trying to watch as many dogs as I can, and dude's over in a corner, and he's not using stim at all. He's just using food up, down. I just started laughing. I go, what am I going
to fucking sign language, right?
He's older than me, and that's
looks like
rare.
He's fucking directing a plane. He's like,
but the dog's doing it. So he's just doing the basic obedience that Rob had already done with him. But once we started doing the tone avoidance stuff, I think that's where he really bought in. And then on the middle of day 2, we do a kind of clean up their heel. And I think that was kind of cemented it for him. He's like, this is pretty sweet. Like I didn't have to have a toy or whatever. So yeah, he bought in, and I give him credit. I thanked him afterwards. I said, I appreciate you trusting in me, because he's been in canine a long time. He's older than me. So, I always, give a little deference to those guys that are older than me and still putting out. He was that guy. I love that guy. He was hilarious.
Yeah. I think he's going on probably 15 years as a handler.
Yeah.
Never used
awesome.
When I came in and the guys that trained him, I was told when I came in the unit, like 6 foot and choke chain's all you need. And if you asked for anything else, it was because you were not enough handler for that dog.
Mm-hmm.
And so he came up in that kind of environment. And so never used any collar. The harness that he was using on his dog when he used it was, probably older than him. I gave him a new one. I gave him a nice Ray Allen harness, and I had to show him how to put it on the dog. But like, he's bought in. I sent Eric a video of him healing the dog the other night, just e-collar only. And he told me he's never healed a dog without having to trick him with a toy.
Mm-hmm.
And
that was awesome.
First time he's ever done it. So
yeah. See, that's old people we can learn. So did you have to, and not disparage anybody before you, but did you, because programs can get stagnant. Did you have to come in and kind of, hey guys, we're going to work? Like, did you have to change anything there? Probably one of my favorite companies to deal with in this industry is Ray Allen Canine. What I really love about Ray Allen Canine is I need one website. I don't got to bounce around to a bunch of different places. I go to rayallen.com and everything I need. Because remember, guys, I have a pet dog training business, same with Ted, and we do police dogs. I'm a pet dog owner. Anything I need dog related. It's not just working dogs stuff. It's dog stuff. Anything I need, Ray Allen has. Rayallen.com has everything you need, from leashes, harnesses, bowls, anything you could possibly do. And here's the cool thing. They're always innovating some really cool stuff. If you follow them on their social media, you'll see Matt on there demoing a bunch of cool stuff they have. They're out in Colorado, got an amazing facility out there. One stop shop, nowhere else to go and look. RayAllen.com. Use the discount code WDR10 RAY for 10% off. WDR10 RAY for 10% off at RayAllen.com.
Yeah. So the problem we had prior to me becoming a trainer was we had no direction. So I give credit to like my chain of command, because they were real supportive. My previous captain, the captain I have now, but they were real supportive of recognizing we got a lot of guys, a lot of experience going out the door. A lot of new people come in. We have no direction. We had several trainers in the unit, but nobody had any more say than anyone else. So we had this culture here of, I'm going to go train with this guy, and then these guys are going to go train with this guy, and everyone does something different. And it was a very compulsive training style, like a lot of Keeler method before I came in. And like, just for me personally, when I first came in as a handler, I had a dog named Chico, and he was, I mean, a handful. And I barely made it out of school, like barely certified. We hit the streets, and I mean, he's biting me on every call, you know, like, and I'm going to the trainers like, hey man, like I'm getting bit, my going through pants left and right. And they're like, don't worry, it'll work itself out, you know? And so I go to my first, certification outside of school. And like about a month or two before certification, I go to one of the handlers. I go, hey, he's not outing. And, you know, we had, only the trainers back then could have e-collars. And it was to put it on your dog to get him down and to take it off. You couldn't have an e-collar if you weren't a trainer back then. And so they slapped an e-collar on him, got him to out. I barely made it through that first certification out of school. And I told myself after that, I said, never again, like never again. So, back in those days, you know, we had, and this is 10 years ago, like we had, 2 suits for the unit. The old hard dog requisite,
Oh, yeah.
you know, giant suits, yeah.
Big purple and black, or,
Yeah, man,
or
the velvet
red,
with
purple, and
straps.
yeah.
You didn't even have to take your gun belt off to wear it. So we had 2 of those, you know, a ton of hard sleeves. It honestly, looking back, like we were basically jute sleeves. It was amazing that some of the dogs even bit. I mean, I remember being told like your first engagement on the street's probably going to be a failure, but don't worry about it. He'll figure it out, because he's going to be looking for a sleeve. And, you know, I didn't know anything else at the time. I just figured that's just how canine works, you know? You know, it what it is. So I basically said, hey, I don't think that I'm going to learn anything like staying in this system. So I actually started working, like going to PSA clubs. I took my patrol dog to PSA clubs and started working him in PSA. I had my friend.
How'd that go?
I'll tell you what, I cleaned up my out real quick.
Yeah, I was about to say, I'm a senior level I'm a senior level PSA decoy, believe me, like, and those decoys are not easy on dogs or on you.
Yeah.
And so I can imagine that was probably a little bit of a shock.
Yeah, you know, like you go in there and you're like, I got this big bad police dog, and then you watch a decoy go out there and just make him look like anything but. And then, you know, they're really cool. They help me build them a little bit. I went to a couple different clubs, and then I started decoying for a lot of sport dogs just to learn how to decoy. No one here was going to be able to teach me. And I got my best friend is retired from the military. He's a kennel master, so wherever he was stationed, I would like go visit him, go check out dogs, go learn stuff, work dogs. You know, he deployed overseas a couple times, so I really bounced a lot of things off of him. And there's a thing in training. Well, I learned this when I was in the training section here, but there's a term called incestual knowledge, and it's basically like when you do not go outside your bubble, and you are only learning from the people within your bubble, that knowledge is going to get basically filtered down with each generation. And so we do that in jiu-jitsu too. Like if you train under one black belt guy and you never go outside that black belt, you'll never be as good as him. And so we had a culture in our unit where we thought we were the best in the area, and we never went outside to go see if we actually were. And so our trainers trained in-house. They trained the trainers below them, and we didn't go to conferences that much. We didn't train with other agencies, and that is all flipped now. Like, our guys go to conferences. We train with everyone in our area. I'm trying to train with people outside of our area. I get outside of Florida. Like, that's my goal, is to take my unit and go out and see what other people are doing. And just bringing in that new knowledge, the like new stuff that's going on, has helped us tremendously. I remember bringing back some of these things to my unit, and a lot of skepticism from the older guys. The guys that have been here a long time. And I remember them telling me, like, that's sport dog stuff. We don't do that. And the first time I brought a can curtain to our training field, and I had like 4 of our experienced dogs out there with street bites, and I'm literally chasing them around the field with a can curtain, because they had never heard it. They were running around, and some of the guys are a little skeptical, like, hey, that's sport dog stuff. That doesn't have any relation to police canine. Some of the guys, though, were like upset that their dogs didn't do well, and they came back and were like, hey, help my dog get over that. Like 2 weeks later, one of those dogs that had run away from the can curtain, and that the handler didn't want to do anything about it, he's searching a pipe warehouse, like a plumbing warehouse, and a bunch of pipes fall down off the wall and make that noise. The dog turned around, would not go back and search. And I said, man, if only there was some type of noise-making device we could use to help get him
If
over.
only there was a way. Man, it's almost like...
So, those are kind of like the small battles, you would fight, like trying to change culture here. And then there's a thing in canine too, where like, if you have more time on than somebody, it's almost like they can't tell you anything. And so, here I am, I'm a supervisor, but I'm also a new handler. And I got these guys been handling dogs for, 20, 30 years. And, they don't want to hear what I'm saying. So I concentrated my efforts on kind of the newer people at that time. Just, like, I'm not going to change somebody's mind. And that's kind of where I focus. Like, this is where we're going to change the culture.
And Ted, you're like this. One of the main things that Rob changed was leg bites.
Yeah.
All their dogs leg bite.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like naturally, like they're going to go for it. And I tell this all the time. If you're a police dog trainer and handler and you're not doing leg bites, you really are wrong. You're making a gigantic mistake. It leads to a ton of failures. And we see this a lot in the zombie scenario that Ted runs at HRD and I'll run every once in a while, where you cover the guy up and just walk. And the dogs will fail that time after time because they don't know how to nuke the leg. When did you learn the leg stuff? At the PSA club?
A little bit there, but actually I went to one of the Canines United seminars, and I met Jason Davis there.
Oh, yeah.
And
Jason, one of the best French ring decoys in the country, and if you have to have somebody teach you how to bite legs, that's the guy.
So I watched him, and I talked to him a bunch. He worked my dog, and actually my dog, like, in that seminar, he didn't do as well as I thought he would. And Jason, like, took him aside and gave him some extra, like, sessions there. So then I started learning it there. And we actually just did, like, last week, the whole night I did leg bites, and I took all the bites, and, like, my knee swelled up pretty bad. But one of the newer handlers came to me, and he's like, hey, Corporal, like, why do we focus on the legs so much like that? And I said, hey, man, there's a famous jujitsu coach, and they asked him, why do you focus on leg locks? And he looked at the interviewer and goes, why would you ignore 50% of the body? Mm-hmm. And I go, why are we teaching our dogs to ignore 50% of the body? And he's like, oh, yeah, I never thought of it like that. And I go, yeah, I know it sucks, and nobody likes taking legs.
No, leg bites, yeah.
Leg bites are
That's why guys don't do it.
Fucking horrible. They suck.
But once the dog unlocks that, their confidence goes up. We did, a similar scenario to the zombie one you're talking about. I had one of our decoys, like, pushing a shopping cart filled with cans and stuff to make a bunch of noise, and he was covered with a tarp. And the dogs came in. A lot of times they're going to try and find a way around the tarp, but he's wrapped around them. But once they start to see that silhouette of that leg, around that tarp, they'll hit the leg they won't jump up for the upper body, and that traditionally, they'll go low. But the dogs that don't learn the leg bites, you know, they just sit there and bark. They try to pull the tarp off. They try to go underneath it, but they won't bite, you know. And then we find people under tarps all the time in Florida. Boat tarps, motorcycle tarps, everything.
It's interesting because that's one of those exercises. And when I teach decoy schools and when I do HRDs and when I do handler schools, I'm like, every fucking time you let a dog's teeth touch suit material, we are worried about targeting and grip quality. I don't give a fuck what we're doing. And I'm like reinforcing it with decoys. I'm like, unless we're doing a concealed target. And we're now looking at human odor or engagement issues. And that's one of the times when dogs will just fucking smash people in the back. Or like, I mean, it's which is fine. I mean, it's like, whatever. I mean, there's not a presented target. It is what it is. Right. And like, that's not what this is about. So it's like, it's the one time I was like, if we have a concealed target, like it's the time when we're not worried about it. We need engagement, not targeting. And because there's nothing to target. And they like, so, and that's the exercise I usually teach in handler schools, the difference between engagement and targeting and how the dogs like look at that and how they view it and how they see it and how they work it through it and whatever else. And, you know, the acceptable answer is to like, okay, I know this is a human shape. I'm going to bite something in the legs because they typically always have two legs for the most part. And if not, I'm just going to fucking smash the center mass and what I get is what I get. And both are kind of acceptable to me. I mean, in dogs, when we run it and we run it at the office, I'll have I have a group of 10 dogs and, you know, it'll be like 60-40 and they just kind of pick. They're like, I know how to bite legs. And when I teach it in an area they've done it in, where they've bit a leg in this area, in this room, in this context. And the only thing different is the sheet. And sometimes dogs are like, cool, I know exactly where the leg's supposed to be. They smash it. Sometimes they're like, fuck it, I can't tell what this is. I'm going to kill it anyway. And you're like, all right, that's also acceptable. Either way, bro. And as long as they grip it and rip it, that's fine. But it's one of the exercises that we do that I remember when we first started doing it and we showed people, they're like, when would I ever see this? I'm like, fuck, are you shitting me?
All the time.
Like, I'm like, all the fucking time. I got hours of body cam for our guys biting people fucking dressed like this shit.
Yeah, covered.
And sometimes, when we bite hands, when we bite, you know, the areas we're not supposed to, not groin, but hands, face, feet, or groin, or hands, faces, or feet, that's typically when it happens, is when you have a concealed target or somebody's laying in Florida, under a boat, covered up in a fucking tarp, and you're like, I see you, bitch. Show me your hands. You're going to get bit. You send the dog, and he's like, he bit the first thing he came to and have to beat homie's head. And you're like, I mean, we didn't mean to do it, but
yeah,
it happens. So
let's talk about the thing I kind of mentioned a little bit ago was the way you guys handle it if you have a team that's struggling during your class.
All right, our next sponsor is really good for the business side of this. If you're in the business of breeding or raising police dogs or even just regular dogs, pets, or gun dogs or whatever, one of the biggest hassles that we have to deal with is housing. Making sure it's safe, making sure it's high quality, all these things, make sure it's sterile, it's easy to clean, we can feed. If not, it just creates an infinitely higher workload. On top of that, it's expensive. One of our sponsors from Horizon Structures, they do a great job at making a plug-and-play drop ready to go as soon as it hits the deck in your location. You have a gravel pad, hook it up to electricity and water. You can put dogs in it that afternoon, and all the guesswork is taken out of it. It's ready to go as soon as it gets there, and you can go from mild to wild. I've seen some that have stainless steel on the inside. It looks like an operating room. It comes with its own air conditioner, all the way down to just like a basic one you need to put in the backyard to satisfy your policy requirements. If you're a canine handler out in the back for a 10x10, he's got an indoor outdoor. He's got a little outdoor thing that's elevated, so he doesn't have to stand in any of his waste, and it's easy to clean. So everything from all the way from a single dog all the way up to, I think they do like, what do they do, Eric? Like they do like 16 and 18 like large sizes. So hit them up, horizonstructures.com, and they will get you set up quickly.
Yeah. So I have this philosophy on, like, a lot of times other agencies will have a failed deployment and they'll come to us. You know, we have a lot of experience, obviously. Sometimes we'll have our own like failures. And when we go to diagnose it, what a lot of people do is, let's just take, for instance, like a typical run out Like a guy gets a bailout, sends the dog doesn't bite for whatever reason. And a lot of guys will go out and they will say, okay, I need to recreate that run out. Like let's get somebody in a suit, have them run. And when they're doing that, a lot of times they're doing that for their own ego. Like they want the result that they didn't get. But instead what I try to go is like, hey, we need to figure out what is the actual problem here. And so there's only 3 things it could have been. 1, the dog is the problem. Like this is not the dog for this job. We know that if you have a litter of puppies, 100% of that litter is not going to be a police dog.
Not even half.
Not even.
Usually.
Right.
You know, and even though these dogs go through selections from European vendors to the vendors that bring them over here, and then we select them, nobody's 100%. Anyone that says they're 100% hasn't picked enough dogs, because, you know, sometimes a dog just doesn't mature the way you want it to. So that's the first thing. I think a lot of times those failures get blamed on the dogs because it's just the easiest thing to blame it on. But the second thing I look at is it the handler? Did the handler contribute to this failure? Sometimes it's a handler that doesn't have the experience or puts their dog in a position the dog wasn't ready for, wasn't trained for. Particularly if you have a new dog coming straight out of school and they put them in a situation that the dog was never trained for. And so that dog with training may be able to get over that. That doesn't mean that that's not the right dog. It means the handler put that dog in a no-win situation. And then the last thing we look at is it the training that you're doing? Is the training contributing to that dog's failure? So like some examples, we had a dog that came out of school and his first time getting ready to deploy for a bite, it's a passive purse guy underneath a car. The handler is a new handler, very inexperienced. They see the guy, they back up. They make the decision that they're going to go behind cover and do call outs, see if they can get this guy to come out. And after, 20 minutes or so, the guy not responding, they decide they're going to send the dog long line to the guy for the apprehension. The dog just came out of school, had never done any long line apprehensions like that. For 20 minutes, he's sitting while they're
getting
doing
fucking stemmed up.
all that. Yeah. So we reviewed the video and I said, hey man, like, I don't think that your dog was really prepared for this situation, because we brought what we ended up doing is bring another experienced dog over, going over there and biting the guy. And then the guy, all of a sudden he wasn't sleeping anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, shocking.
So to there, I was like, hey, that's partly on the handler for putting that dog, but probably on the training, because we never did the school that was taught, they never did that. And so, we had another situation recently with, another long line deployment, a guy, they had, immobilized the vehicle and the guy's inside the car refusing to come out, and, handler's on scene, 17 minutes. His dog is behind cover, barking for 17 straight minutes. It's a Mal. He's loud. And he, for 17 minutes, he's barking. And then they say, give him the green light. Hey, go ahead and send your dog for the bite. And when the handler sends the dog, he doesn't give the dog enough line to get all the way into the car. And the dog hits the end of the line and he turns around and comes back.
Because he thinks he got leash checked and he thinks he's doing obedience.
So that happened. Eventually the dog ends up having a successful engagement, but it looked like he maybe failed like a couple times to do it. And so when we looked at that initial failures, the question was, well, what caused the failure? We set up a similar situation. I said, hey, I think it's the line check. So we set up the same situation, vehicle, decoy inside the car. I sent the dog. I said, I purposely want you to not give him enough line. So he sends the dog. The dog gets 3/4 of the way to the car, hits the end of the line, immediately comes back to him. And that's also a product of the FDLE and FLECA call-off procedure. Yes, yeah. And so that's
the 100%.
So then we just went back and did some training of, let's teach the dog to tractor pull, give him line. And so that turned into this is more of a training issue, because the dog was just automatically taking that as, this is a correction. You want me to come back. But there are other places that I know would have seen that, maybe those two situations, and probably would have been like, it's the dog, without taking a real look at what's the actual problem here, So I try to break down the the call into some small parts, and let's test all of these things out to figure out what it is, because a lot of times guys want to do too much, and then you don't know what the problem is.
Mm-hmm. Now, do you have a relationship in your area where you could ask an outside trainer from another agency, hey, can you come and give us an evaluation on this?
Yeah.
Or your opinion?
We have several guys that have some pretty decent sized units around here, that we'll reach out to. We share like body cam videos with them. They tell us what you think. They've done the same here. I actually had another agency that had a handler in school that was struggling, and they actually sent him to our agency for 2 weeks to train with us, because when I started talking to them about, hey, is it the handler? Is it the dog? Is it the training? They wanted to be able to rule out that it was the training. So let's send him to another agency for 2 weeks and let's see what do they think. And after having the handler for 2 weeks, I said, it's definitely not the dog, because I'd take that dog in a heartbeat. And I don't think it's your training. So, they ended up moving on from that handler, after that.
There's two things that you mentioned during that, and that I kind of want to mention, during HRDs, like I don't remember exactly how many teams we've been in front of finally, recently. It's close to 2,500 to 3,000 teams in total. And this is from Canada, from both coasts, north to south, whatever, right? So there's some fairly common themes, and it's kind of like, we call it the 25-50-25 rule. So 25% of the teams that are there, either the dog or the handler has no business running a dual purpose dog, or does not have any business being a dual purpose dog. The other 25% are 100-mile-an-hour handlers with 100-mile-an-hour dogs that very rarely make mistakes, and when they do make a mistake, it's something that is like, because they're the guys that continually ask for critiques. They're like, what did I do wrong? And I'm like, okay, I can do this, but I'm going to be nitpicking. They're like, that's fine. I'm like, all right. So, and we go through it. The middle 50% of the people that I like to focus on, because those are people that have a dog that is young and inexperienced, or a handler that is young and inexperienced. And I've experienced both, an experienced handler with a new dog and an experienced dog with a new handler, where problems arose, and there were different problems, obviously, like one's a handling error and one's a dog error, right? So, and those are handled differently on the human end of it, but those are people that and animals that have the ability to be in that top 25% if they're exposed to the right type of things. And then the thing you talked about, the line checking, we do it on day 3. If you've been to an HRD, you've done this scenario where we get somebody out of a car, they have a gun, we're like, gun, we shoot them, right? So we've got some neutrality, the dog has to remain neutral, blah, 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 down. We send the dog on a long line, and in the briefing, I give the handlers, I'm like, I want you to send the dog very smoothly. Like super smooth. If you throw a brick off the top of a parking garage and you need to lower it down at 1 speed, that's the speed I want you to allow him in. If you do the herky-jerky shit, he's going to keep coming back. And almost routinely, 50% of the people at the seminar, it's like, stop, go, stop, go, stop, go, stop, go. And I'm like, we'll do it again, and do it right, and feed it out nice and smooth. This is why we wear fucking gloves all the time. This is why we wear certain leashes. This is why equipment choices matter. This is why clipping it to a different portion on the harness, blah, 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 all these things. And then they're like, oh, and then it goes much smoother. But they're like, oh, and so it's the same, like, because I've seen videos like that too, where dogs, like, they just get fucking line checked. And I'm like, so how did you train your call off? They're like, well, we didn't call him off. I'm like, it's not what I'm asking you. What I'm asking you is how you train the call off. And they're like, oh, we put him on a back tie on a pinch, and we put him at the decoy at 65 feet on a 60-foot line, and then we let him go, and he hit the end of the line, and he learned. And I was like, no, he learned that a fucking leash check means come back. Yeah. That's what he means. That's what he learned. He didn't learn anything else. And because the way that I illustrate that point is I just cut the dog loose. I'm like, call him back and cut him loose.
Yeah.
I guarantee you he will fucking smash that decoy. He'll knock him out of his fucking shoes. Watch.
Yeah.
And they do, and I'm like, it has nothing to do with the dog. And now doing that, you kind of isolate the issue, which some people aren't real happy about, but it is what it is. Fuck it. So, and it's like, if this is all that I have to point out is you don't know how to fucking send a dog on a long line, like, you can figure that out in 5 minutes. It's not rocket science, bro. Like, wear fucking gloves and use a different leash and you'll be fine. And make sure it's the right length. Like, I get it. Like, I mean, you know how long your Bearcat is.
Yeah.
So just multiply that times 1.5 and give yourself a little bit of extra room so you don't get fucking yanked out of cover. That's when SWAT guys really love it, is when the dog hits the end of the line and you hit the back of them and the whole shield and everything goes forward. They really love that. Or they gets yanked over their drop holster and it pulls them into a room. Also super, super, they love that shit too. But when you said that, I was like, I've seen this before.
Yeah. So it's a big deal for a trainer to say, hey, we check and see if this is the training problem.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's rare. Guys aren't going, no, this can't be me. Can't be the training. There's no way. It's got to be this moron or this piece of shit dog that I didn't pick.
Yeah, I always tell guys, like, every school I teach is different because I learned something from the last school that I put into the next school. And guys that went through school with me like 2 years ago, they'll see what we're doing in this school and they're like, you never did that with us. I'm like, I didn't know. Like, I just found this out. Like, I'm still learning too. Like, my big thing is like, I'm not the best, but I know I ain't the worst. Like, I'm
Road. You were definitely not.
So, but like the line handling, long line deployment, like to me, that's a skill that we have to teach handlers. So we spent like today in my school, the entire day was spent long lining dogs to vehicles and teaching the handlers how to meter out the line smoothly so they don't hit the brakes. And that comes from deployments where handlers did that because they didn't have the skills built well enough to do that. So we spent an entire day today doing that for different situations and showing them different ways that they can send the dog out, like, walking the line backwards, letting it slide, all of these, so that, hey, figure out which one you like, which one works for you, which one works for your dog. And then let's practice that.
The other
You
one,
don't need to grab the loop at the end of the leash and just
no, you don't.
That's what,
no, that's not.
or they hold in the middle and roll up all the loop at the end, the leash, and I'm like, what are you doing, cowboy?
Yeah, exactly. I'm from Oklahoma, and I don't.
The weight of the leash on the ground.
Yeah.
That's one of the other ones that I like to do is teaching guys not to compress the workspace. One of the biggest fucking problems that people have with canine guys is you're always in the way at the wrong time, right? Like, they're thankful for the dog when they need them. They're like, thank God the dog was here. But if we, like handlers, like when we start yanking people on long lines, whether it's a good idea or not is not really the issue that I'm talking about. But if we're deciding that we have to do that and the handler is just, doing it like a pull-up where he's just like in gym class, he's just pulling hand over hand. I'm like, bro, every rep you pull that forward, you're compressing your workspace by 4.5 feet. And by the time the dog and the shithead get here, like, you've got 5 other guys, the suspect with a dog connected to him, and you're dumbass who can't do anything standing here. I was like, so when you get, enough gap, like, just anchor and back up, use your body weight and pull, let them do what they're going to do. And then you roll up the line under tension, take control of the dog, and then pop him when they tell you to, and you're done. Like, it's easy. But if you're fucking standing there, like, you can't do shit while you're standing there. I mean, you're running the line. So let everybody else do everything else. And handlers like want to be in the way all the time. Like, every time we do some kind of integration class, that's the one time I have to tell them, I'm like, get the fuck out of the way. Like, you're a fucking canine handler. You're not do canine stuff. Stop doing other shit. And they're like, it makes a ton of sense, but I need to be there so I can see it. I'm like, no, you don't. You don't need to see shit. What do you need to look at? You've done this 100 times. You know what he's doing. He's biting him in the fucking leg. Don't worry about it. Keep line tension and roll up. Don't let him bite anybody else. Back out. Break him off and tell him to shut up. Like, that's it. Down him. Give him his ball. Power of 2s, like Eric says.
Yep. So you're, besides being the trainer, you have an office and you're a supervisor.
Oh, yeah.
So a good portion of your day is dealing with supervising those. What, like, if you were teaching a canine supervisor course, what would be like some of your big hits?
Yeah. So I'm big on, like, to build a good canine unit, you have to start with culture. You have to identify, like, who are your informal leaders in a unit, especially on a unit my size. Because in a unit my size, influence is more important than rank. So the guys that have influence, that are influencing, like, the young handlers, that are out there, because, I can't be out there 24 hours a day with these guys. I'm out here 11, 12 hours a day. And the guy that's with the new handler all the time is influencing him. He's going to help him with his decision making. So getting to those informal leaders and coaching them and having that trickle down to the youngest guys in your unit. So we revamped, like, our FTO program here. Before we revamped it, our guys would give you a green handler, come straight out to the road. You get 14 days with training with an FTO who wouldn't be with you, just would deploy with you if he could. And then after that, you may be working a midnight shift for, the next two months by yourself. Just, figuring stuff out. And, we end up having a lot of problems. And when you would ask guys like, hey, like, we're going to change this program. We're going to add some time. We're going to add some mentoring. We're going to add some things that we're going to have to do with these new guys to get them to where they're on their own. And like, the guys are like, well, I didn't get that. And I go, yeah, did you think that was messed up? Well, yeah. I'm like, okay, why would we do that to somebody new? So like, I try to get the new guys involved from the very beginning. They come with us, when we do dog selection. Cause when I came in, like, they just handed me a dog, like, here's your dog. And, so I bring the new guys so they can see the process. And when we go to a vendor, if there's 2 or 3 dogs and I'm like, these are pretty equal dogs, I'll go to the new guy. I go, hey, dude, one of these dogs you like speak to you, like you like kind of like better than the others. I think they're all about equal. And if they're like, yeah, I really like that Mal. Now they've kind of bought into that, and it's like their dog. They know we're not setting them up for failure. So I think like supervision should start there, like looking at culture, looking at leadership, looking at mentoring, looking at coaching. And then beyond that, like, we revamped lesson plans. Like, we didn't have a lot of lesson plans. And this stuff I learned from dealing with new hires is, you have to have guardrails on your programs. So for instance, when I was dealing with new hires, you're dealing with guys' careers that they're young, they're young people, and sometimes they don't take criticism well. And when they're, in FTO and you're sitting down with them like, hey, this might not be the job for you. They're going to come up with every excuse they can to why it's not them. It's somebody else. It's the program. So you have to build guardrails into your program. So for instance, like in our schools, we have set hours. This is how long our schools are. If you get to the end of that school and you're not doing well, like we have extension, like you're going to have this much time as an extension. We're going to bring in a second trainer. So that if we did end up with that problem handler and we got to the end and said, hey, we got to move on from this guy, we can go and say, look, he is exhausted all of the allotted like times, the extra time that we gave him, versus we're going to give this guy this much time to remediate. But this guy's not going to get that time because he's an idiot. And that's where you run into problems, like with supervision, is you get these claims that you're not treating people like equally. I know when I was in charge of that training program, there's case laws out there. I think like Kid v. Illinois State Police and stuff like that that deal with not having parameters on your training. And that goes for detection schools. It goes for handler schools, all of these things. So like when we have a new handler that comes in, when they get done with that basic handler school, there's a checklist of things that they have to finish, they have to accomplish before we let them go to the streets. So we know at a minimum, everyone that's come out of basic handler school for the first time knows these things. And if they go out on the streets and they do something in violation of that, we're like, hey, we documented. You knew better, Before we give guys an e-collar, we put them through an e-collar like course. It's like a 1-day thing, but part of that course, it talks about stuff like not leaving your e-collar on your dog 24 hours a day. Because if you don't tell somebody that and they've never handled a dog before, and they may do that and then claim, yeah, I didn't know. And where do you have anyone in your program that says that you told them that they shouldn't do that? And I think like when you're looking at building a program, you have to look at it from, I'm building up people that have no knowledge. They've never been handlers before. They're, they may have been cops 3 or 4 years. Like, I don't know how it is other agencies, but we're getting guys in the canine unit with 3-4 years experience as a cop total. And it's not by choice. It's that those are the people that are applying,
I was going to say, like, that's, I have to remind myself a lot of times, especially in canine, there aren't many people that are voluntold to handle.
Yeah.
And if they do, they suck. They're fucking horrible. Almost universal. If you're voluntold, you're a fucking you suck, go do something else. But most of the time, people that are in canine, especially in highly competitive units, are people that want to be there. They want to go find bad guys. They want to go find dope. They want to go do that stuff. And I have to remind myself every class I do that, like, they don't know how to do this. Like, they don't understand what I'm, like, how we're doing this with the leash, how we're doing this with the e-collar, and they're there for the right reason. And as long as they're there for the right reason and they're teachable, I'm good.
Yeah.
Right? Like, as long as they're teachable, coachable, and as long as they're there for the right reason. And I ask most handlers, especially my dual purpose handlers, a lot, especially young guys. I'm like, so why are you here? Why are you doing this? And I've had kids tell me, they're like, I got into law enforcement to become a canine handler. I'm like, that doesn't answer the question though. Like, why are you here? Like, why do you want to handle a dual purpose dog? You could be handle a single purpose bomb dog, or you could be handle a single purpose dog for U.S. For like parcel police or something, for like the U.S. Postal Service. So like, no, I want to go find fucking bad guys and I want to go find dope. And I'm like, okay. And that's all I want to hear. Right, because I've already seen all their write-ups and all the other shit that they have, all of their cases that they've generated through use of force and through whatever else. So I understand that they know how to do like that portion of it. But as long as they are there for the right reason and they're coachable, because they want to be successful. Nobody takes a canine position and is like, I want to suck. Like, nobody's like, I'm going to take this job and try and hide and not do anything because they will get strung up by their fucking thumbnails. Nobody does that. I mean, they do, but they end up routinely getting kicked out of the unit, usually by everyone else in the unit. And everyone that's there wants to be there and they want to fucking do well. And they want to do well and they want everyone to know that they do well. And that's why I tell people, I'm like, the best people in law enforcement are canine, and it's SWAT, because those are people that want to be there. Like, they're there because they want to fucking do, like, that's the assignment they want to do. I don't know shit about detective stuff, so I'm sure there's the same stuff. But people are like, I want to solve murders. I'm like, great, whatever, fine. Like, I'm sure there's yeah, have at it. But that's why, like, canine, like, when I see young, motivated people as an administrator and as a supervisor, you see this young guy who wants to be there, who's coachable, who's intelligent, who's all these things, and I'm like, but you're also like, you're fucking stupid. Like, let's keep you from doing something dumb. Like, I get it. Like, you want to do this, but like, have you had, like, you've got a very young unit.
Yeah.
Have you had to rein in some of your guys?
Oh yeah. Like, not for bad reasons, but
well, I mean, just
slow down. Hey,
yes.
Think about this. Which I'll take all day because it's hard to push somebody to go be active.
Yeah,
but like
just like outing. I can't make dogs bite people, but I can sure as fuck make them out.
Yeah, but that's part of the culture thing of when you have a unit. Like, we had a unit at one point where if you had a problem with your dog, this unit was not built for you to tell anybody that you had a problem, because the trainers would try to help you, but like it was a culture of, you have a problem with your dog, you're now less of a handler. And that was one of the big changes that we did, was let's get everybody going in the right direction. We all know who's having problems with their dogs, because it's like a high school girls' locker room. Everybody talks. And so let's go to those handlers and say, listen, I know you're having this issue. Let's help. Let's work on it. And now we have a unit where guys are coming to me before I even know they have problems to let me know, because they understand if we work on it now, it won't become a big problem, because they don't feel like they're going to be, judged like they were before. But you have these guys that, like, when we're looking for new handlers, like, I'm looking for people that are passionate about being handlers, that want to learn, that are coachable. Because I can teach almost anybody how to handle a dog, but I can't teach you, once you get out of school, to go out there and hunt bad guys. Like, that is something.
Yeah, if that's not in your DNA, right?
You have to have that. And so that's what we're looking for over anything else. Like, are you coachable? Are you going to hunt bad guys?
This episode is brought to you by our good friends, the Perkinsons, down at Highland Canine Training. Highland, HIGHLAND Canine Training. They're a really cool place, guys. They have a school for dog trainers, pet dogs and working dogs. That is an amazing spot, man. You can go there, and it's no joke. Like, you're not going to be there for 3 weeks and come back with some stupid certificate. This is like a 6-month school for dog trainers. You learn every aspect of it, including the business side of dog training, which can be tough, especially for us former cops or current cops or military guys that don't really know all that stuff. They've been doing it forever. They offer online courses. They sell police dogs. They have canine handler schools. They offer in-person supervisor courses. Check them out, guys. HIGHLANDcanine.com is the website to go check it out. Everything's on that front page there. It's a very nice website. Check them out, HIGHLANDcanine.com. For the supervisor schools, I think there's a 30% off with the discount code WDR30, HIGHLANDcanine.com.
Because that's what we want our unit's reputation to be. You know, like we've changed policies over the years, and our policy's actually gotten a little bit more restrictive on what we can deploy for in the last few years. But our apprehensions have doubled, even with the changes in policy, because we have a unit of guys that are young and they're going out there, they're deploying dogs, they're getting after it. And to me, like, that's the biggest change has been just the culture.
You ever go to one of the senior guys and go, hey, do me a favor, will you go talk to him, you know, and kind of maybe the guy will take it a little bit easier from just a regular handler guy, like a guy who's a leader, like you said, that you've shown as a leader before the corporal has to get involved?
Oh yeah, always. Because if I say something to somebody, sometimes they look at it as it's coming from the trainer. Sometimes they look at it as it's coming from my supervisor. So sometimes I go to somebody that has influence over that handler and say, hey, can you talk to so-and-so and tell me he needs to slow down? You know, like I'm watching his videos. He needs to slow down. He's not, you know, we had one, we had a guy who was, had a call. He's going in the backyard and, he just goes in there too quickly. He rounds a corner, has no idea. The bad guy's hiding around the corner. They pass him. The dog cuts back, ends up biting the guy. I said, hey, great job. You found the guy. And I just said, hey, it's never a good time when the suspect surprises you.
Yeah.
And he was like, I feel you. And I go,
that is
down.
Rule number one.
You need to slow down.
Rule number one, that's number one in tracking. I tell my guy, or yard searches, whatever. But I'm like, if your dog bites somebody and you don't know they're there, you fucked up somewhere.
So, but like on that
sure.
there, like, yes, he made a mistake. Like tactically, there was a mistake there, right? But I like that fact that, I mean, they had to kick in the gate to get into that yard. Like, he was in there. He was trying to find somebody. And it's like, all right, let's not beat him up for that. Let's just have him slow down. And one of the things I told him, I actually learned from you guys, is I said, hey, if you didn't have your dog and you had to search this thing with your gun in your hand, would you have done that? And he's like, no. And I go, okay, let's not do that with our dog then. And, and that was it. Like, did not make the same mistake. And I tell the guys, like, you're going to make mistakes, but let's try not to make the same mistakes over and over. And then that's progression.
You got lucky.
Yeah.
When I was younger and I was really, really into poker, if you made a bad mistake and you still won the hand, you just got lucky. You still played it wrong.
Yeah.
So rather than being results oriented, you need to try to be as correct as possible. And, every once in a while, a little bit of luck, like wind changes type luck, but not you got lucky, you didn't get shot in the back luck.
Yeah. Luck isn't a strategy.
Yeah. Because most of the people, like I would say a vast majority of the people that were hunting or trying to get away, they're not ready to kill a cop. But what if you don't know that?
Yeah.
Just about every time one of our guys has an apprehension, the first question I ask them is, did you know, before they say what the call was and what happened and blah, 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 before they give me their narrative, I'm like, did you know what was going to happen? It's a yes or no question. And they're like, yes. And I'm like, why? And they said, because I've done blah, 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 blah in training, or I've done this, or I've done that, or we've had an apprehension similar to this, or whatever. And I'm like, okay, so how close was it to what you anticipated? And, they're like, this or that, or close, or whatever. I don't like hearing no. I don't like hearing, no, I didn't know it was going to happen. I'm like, what the fuck? They've said that sometimes, and I'm like, why the fuck did you, why did you send the dog? Why did you, and they're like, and that goes down a whole other road of bad decision making. But when they say, no, I didn't know it was going to happen. And
we had a scenario called Fuck It, Stellan.
Yeah,
because
100%.
We give him a really bad situation or not bad.
It's a shit sandwich.
He went,
It's a fucking,
Fuck it, Stellan.
it sucks.
Like, no. No, that's qualified immunity just ran away from you.
Yeah, one of my handlers is assigned to a marshal's task force here, and they had a deal where they had a fucking gangbanger in a house, and he wasn't coming out, whatever else. So they threw like 900 tri-chambers into the house, and at that point, then the dog is there, and then finally the marshals turn to my handler, and they're like, "Is he good in gas?" And I thought to myself, and I know the dog is because he's already had apprehensions in gas, and he's been trained on it, blah blah blah, whatever, but. The handler is kind of, my handler's like, yeah, he did one last week. He's fine. And they're like, oh, we'll send him then. He's like, well, let's hold on a second. Like, like, just wait. And they're like, no, we need to send him now. And they're like, no, we don't. So they start making call outs again. So the dog can see him after they knocked the window out. And he waved his hand out the window. Then my handler sent him, and the dog just blasted him. And the marshals were critical. I mean, they're like, why didn't you send him when we told him? And Kyle's like, and my handler said, he didn't know where he was at. We didn't know where he was at. Like, he said, well, he can hunt in gas. I'm like, yeah, but that's not the point. So I like that. I like when my handlers advocate. And that's one of the things I tell them too. I'm like, you ultimately are going to be, don't let them Fed boys throw you under the bus. And I was like, and also advocate for the dog. Like, if it sounds sketch, I don't care if somebody else is a handler. They're not that handler of that dog. Like, you're the one. Like, advocate for the dog and advocate for your program. Like, even if it's a 2-dog or 1-dog program, advocate for the program. Don't do something stupid. Like, just because some fucking state boy with fucking cry precision on is telling you to do something, to be like, he said so. They're like, no, no. Like, you're the handler. What you say goes. So, and if that's the case, great. But it worked out, but it happened. I hate when they get a bite and they're like, I didn't know it was going to happen. I'm like, are you fucking serious? Like, yes, you did. Or no, you didn't. Maybe you didn't. But every time they're like, oh, I got to bite this and this and this. And I'm like, do you know what's going to happen? Yes. Perfect. Why? Because X, Y, and Z. Perfect. Make sure you write that down somewhere. And they're like, oh, okay. And since then, yeah, it's turned out well. Like, we've been doing that for a long time. And we don't have many issues with that kind of stuff. So
the good thing is, if you have the right culture, the guys, if something fucked up, you'll know before the captain knows.
Yeah. And you gotta have something where they can't be afraid to make mistakes, because you don't learn. So you gotta have guys that they know they're not gonna get hammered. I mean, like, I'm talking like not malicious mistakes. And then we are fortunate that we do have, a chain of command that understands that. Like, these are new handlers. We're not handling robots. Like, we're handling live breathing animals. There is a certain amount of, like, gray area, a little bit of cushion that comes with that. Like, if you have a unit where, you have an agency of 35 dogs like we do, like, you're gonna get an accidental at some point. Like, you can't, as long as a guy's not doing something negligent or malicious, like, it's gonna happen. Like, let's look at it, let's train it. But you don't want to have a culture where guys are hiding their deficiencies, hiding their mistakes. You want one where they're showing you them, and then you're working on. They know they're showing it to you because they know that you're going to help them. And I see a lot of units where they don't have that. And I actually deal with a lot of handlers from other agencies in my area who come to me because they cannot go to their own agency trainers or handlers because they're not going to help them. And, I've had it, like, I live in another county, and I've had guys, like, from agencies in that county, like, come to my house, and I've helped them train their dog. And they'll like, hey, don't tell my sergeant about this. I'm like, why would I tell your sergeant? So, I mean, like, it just shows you, like, the difference. Like, these guys are going to learn a lot more if they're free to go out there and not have this, like, doom of discipline that's going to be hanging over them for every mistake that they make, All
right, so we're gonna, before we wrap it up, let's switch to grappling. We're gonna talk about some jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
When I started, I've talked about it a little bit, not so much on here, more on my social media. But I'm 56. I started when I was 52, and I love it. It's really one of the only things I do for myself anymore. Everything else I do is for other people, work and whatever. And it's one of those things that everything I do 100 miles an hour, 100%. But this is the one thing that I'm sticking with and not going to quit ever. Because the physical benefits and the mental benefits of how it makes me feel. I had a guy come today that I've known since he was a child. His dad was at my department. I've known him since he was a kid. He's an adult. So he's 42 now. He's a canine handler or whatever. Today he started jujitsu. I got him to come. I'm hoping he sticks it out. And there's some of the part of it is I explained to him the mental aspect. The agency he works for, the previous handler who's not there anymore, said to my instructor, he said, they live in the town where he works. And my instructor said, well, you should come and try jujitsu. He goes, why do I need that? I have a dog. And I think that's, why do I need that? I have a taser. Why do I need that? I have a gun. And like we were talking about, in the class, you made a comment that, you have lost some stuff with dogs here and there, but on the streets, you're undefeated when it comes to, since you really started getting into jiu-jitsu. Just talk about like how long you've been doing it and the effects it's had on you.
So, I mean, I wrestled in high school and, I wrestled like club level in college, and then, always been around martial arts my whole life. I started jiu-jitsu about 12 years ago, and actually it started because I got my kids starting it. And then like one of the guys I consider like a mentor of mine, he's a black belt, been a black belt since the late 90s, and he's a chief of police here locally. And he was the one teaching the classes, and I got into jiu-jitsu because of him. And so, about 12, 13 years ago, I started, and like I should have started like everybody says I should have started earlier, but you start when you start. And it's never too late. That handler I told you about that had been a handler for 33 years, he started jiu-jitsu in his late 50s, and he still trains. He's a blue belt now. So like it's never too late. We got a guy that trains with us I think he's 64, 65. I think you met him, Rich.
Yeah, I did.
Like I give that guy.
I'm so happy to see a guy older than me.
He's so happy. I give that guy so much credit though, because he just shows up. But like jiu-jitsu's made me, like a better cop, like especially when I was on the streets, but then it's made me a better decoy, and it's made me I know it's made me a better handler. So I encourage like all my handlers to start training, guys that come out that want to learn like, hey, what can I do to get better as a decoy? I'm like, if you learn jiu-jitsu and learn how to move your body, like when I'm 42 years old and I've got a bad knee and I'm on the ground in a suit, I have no issues getting up. And I see guys younger than me that are on the ground in a suit that need help getting up to their knees, because I'm used to doing that. We run a scenario here, in our training, in our basic school, where, the dog gets sent for a easy building search. I'm in a suit. The dog bites me. I give the dog no reaction for about 25 seconds, like just nothing, just standing there. And then the handler will come in and start screaming and yelling at me. But I tell them, scream and yell at me over the dog. So I want to see if the dog is going to out because he thinks he's in trouble. And then after about some screaming and yelling at me, I tell the handlers, you're going to go hands on with me and we're going to struggle and we're going to see if your dog maintains that bite, that grip. He doesn't transfer because things are not going his way. You're yelling, you're screaming. I'm not helping him. I'm not paying him. I'm not countering his bites. And the handlers usually find out that, I can kick their butt with a dog attached to me.
He sent me a video that like, I go, listen, I suck at jiu-jitsu. I'm just a blue belt, but I think I could not get taken down by you with a dog on. He goes, let's test that.
Let's test it out next time.
Let's test it out next time. I'm like, oh, I don't know that I should have said that.
Yeah. The first time I ran
do that at HRD.
Yeah. The first time I ran that one, I told, one of the handlers, he's like, so, going over the instruction with them, he goes, so you want me to come in and take you down? And I looked down, you can't take me down.
Yeah.
And so he came in to try, and I literally threw him across the room like 3 times, and finally I laid down for him. And he's like, I'm never doing that again.
No. And Ted, Rob's my size. Like we're 5'8" killers over here, right? And he's throwing the guy, just get out of here.
Yeah. So like,
and that should be kind of I don't know. That's one of those deals. If I'm that guy, I go home at night going, man, what the fuck? Like, I got to do something about that.
Yeah, because you never know who you're going to encounter on the street, what they're going to be on, like how they're going to process pain. Mm-hmm. And one of the things we try to get, because we teach ground fighting to new hires. We do like an entire day of that. And we have like a whole cadre of guys that do that. And one of the things they try to get across to like our new hired deputies is, Central Florida in particular is a hotbed for MMA and jiu-jitsu. There's a MMA jiu-jitsu school on pretty much every corner here.
Yeah, it was a lot. Yeah.
And guys will train for 6 months and then they'll quit. But that 6 months of training is more than you got. And it's all they need. You know, and so I encourage every single person.
They'll quit jujitsu, but won't quit smoking meth.
Yeah.
And
all they need is like, they need 1 or 2 moves, and that's all they need. And if they can hit those moves on you, you're in trouble.
Yeah. There's just a video, I think Tom DeBlas put it on his thing of a female cop rolled up on a DUI accident, and the guy started fighting her. He was a brown belt.
I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah. He was, her buddy showed up, the cop, to help her. And I don't know if that guy had any training. Maybe the brown belt was just so drunk that, because you can't fuck with them dudes a lot of times. And I tell guys, listen, man, like jujitsu, if you got into some road rage incident with Rob and he gets out of the car and he's just a regular average looking dude, you think, yeah, fuck you, little dude, fuck you, whatever. That's a mistake, man. You can't fuck with that, man. I'm telling you. Because you'll know as soon as Rob touches you that was a mistake. Him and I were rolling, and he likes to start standing up. So, and a lot of gyms don't. So he likes standing up, and I was trying something, and before he picked me up like a baby and dropped me, and it was so fast, and I just started laughing. I'm like, yeah, after you kill me, you need to show me what the fuck that was, because that was hilarious.
Yeah,
it was so fast too, like.
All right, this episode is brought to you in part by KINETIC Dog Food, KINETICDogFood.com. We've been using KINETIC for quite a while at the kennel here at Torchlight. We feed the 26 and the 28K formula in feeding for the dogs over there, but I also use the 24K for all of my imprinting for obedience and imprinting for tracking. If you follow me, you've seen me do the tracking stuff where I do the Dick Stahl method, who we've also had on the show. But it's great because it's large and it doesn't get greasy and gross in the pouch. I've seen a lot of dudes with drop pouches that look like they're carrying dirty socks around, and it's disgusting. This doesn't do that. It's not greasy. Also, it's not a chicken-based formula. So if you get dogs in from Europe, you're not sure if the stomach is going to handle it. And it's a fairly low-calorie version too, so you can do 1,000,000 reps and not have to worry about dog getting fat. KINETICDogFood.com. Also, we've had the guys on the show before and they talk about it, but they do a lot to make sure that the protein bases are nice and pure, and that the stuff that they're adding to it actually adds additive to it, and they're not filling it with pocket lint and sawdust like a lot of other foods. So hit them up, KINETICDogFood.com.
Yeah, I don't know if I ever told the story in here. I think I might have told you. I was in Iowa, and I went to this gym. So every time I travel out of town, I go to a school, and I do drop-ins. And the gym that Rob teaches at was my 34th gym I've been to. And I went to this gym, and the instructor was a dad bod looking regular dude, 50 years old, nothing to look at, right? We think guys are like, well, I could tell, I wouldn't fuck with that guy, his ears and this and that. The guy did not have cauliflower ears. He did not have any of that shit. 4th degree black belt. He was a black belt in judo. He was a black belt in this. He taught Krav Maga. He was a Division I high school and then a smaller division college wrestler. That guy, you fuck off, man. Like, but you wouldn't know that. That'd be a guy you might get into a situation with, because you're like, I don't care if you're 6'4". You can't fuck with that dude. That dude is 5'10". You can't fuck with him, right? More than likely, though, he's not going to do that. He's not going to get into that situation. That's what they say with most guys in jiu-jitsu, is that you learn to not get into those situations.
I think there's a confidence you get, especially as a cop, when you know stuff. Like you have a little more, you carry yourself a little differently. You have a little more confidence. I think you approach situations a little differently. That's why, like in handling a dog, you have to have an ego. Like you have to have some ego to handle a dog. Like you have to
at least more than the dog.
More than the dog. And I think that, like being able to handle yourself physically like that, it gives you a healthy ego, because nobody in jiu-jitsu, you get humbled on the mats. Mm-hmm. Like they'll humble you all the time. So like you learn not to be overconfident going into almost any situation. And I think that's what keeps you kind of even keeled in those environments.
I think so too. And that, So when I was younger, I'm a pretty decent striker. I can punch, and I was knocking people out, and I was getting in punching. But a lot of the times, the reason why were successful in the fight because we had guys. We had 3-4 guys, and that does give you a false bravado. But I can tell you, if you do not train in some form of fighting, you can't fight. I know you think you can, but I'm telling you, you can't. You cannot fight. You're going to, the same thing's going to happen every time. You're going to fuck with, say, Rob or me or somebody like that. We're going to shoot a single leg or a double leg. You're going to go to the ground, and you're going to fucking turn your back and try to turn over, and you're going to get rear naked choked. 100% of the time that happens with guys that don't train. 100% of the time. You can watch those videos and see it happen over and over and over. Or the guys run their head into a guillotine. And Tom DeBlas, his social media is interesting. He'll say that. He goes, "You can see red." Is that what you're trying to say? You see red? He goes, "I promise you, big boy, you can't fight. I promise you." And that dude's Tom's a gorilla, though. Like, he's a silverback that can just smash you if he wants. But he doesn't do it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, and you're no quitting, you right? You're going to keep going?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, like, I'm teaching every week now, and I tell all the guys, like, if you guys want to come out, like, come to my class. It's free, But very, very few people take me up. I got one guy in my unit that trains. He's a purple belt now. And I'm trying to get more, but, you can only do so much, You can offer and offer and offer.
Use the dogs. We do that drill. We do that drill at HRD where it's called the island drill. Yeah. And it's a fucking jujitsu drill with a dog connected to somebody. And everybody that does it that's experienced is like, man, my leverage is all fucked up. The only thing I have is like my grip strength, and like you have to like keep in mind like where the dog's at and everything else. But it's an eye-opening experience for people that are experienced in jiu-jitsu, because they're like, oh, I'll be able to, especially guys that have never been bit by a dog. The way that it happened to me is I was rolling at a gym, and the guy that ran the gym was one of these dudes that's like, it's like a 7 bazillion degree black belt or something. And so you're like, as you're rolling through stuff, he's like, while you're getting your ass kicked, like he's folding your laundry with you in it, and he's walking you through it at the same time. And you're like, man, I'm fighting for my fucking life here. Stop. And you say, look, I think the only way I could ever get anywhere close to a submission is with a dog connected to you. And this guy is not a cop, and he's not like military. He's like, I doubt it. I'm like, let's try. And sure as fuck, like, he's like, this really hurts. And I'm like, got you, bitch. And he's like, okay, you can take the dog off now. But it was like one of these deals. I'm like, we should be doing this a lot more. So it became like a thing. Like, we would do it, I don't know, like once every 2 or 3 months in our training group. We'd just do like a jiu-jitsu night where we wouldn't get to go to the mats because I don't want to fuck the mats up. But we would do stuff at the kennel or wherever we're at, and we would do ground fighting with the dogs. And then it became the end of parts of scenarios where we would go in and bite somebody, and the decoys were under instructions like, as soon as he bites, go after the handlers, like grab their feet, fucking yank them off their feet and go after him. And then it became like, it was a fucking fight. And, it requires a lot of training on the dog side to make sure they're not going to pop and do dumb shit. But it definitely is an eye-opening experience. And for backup people, for them to know, like, once the dog is biting, you can go in, even if you're not a canine handler, like, go in there and grab his other arm or whatever limb is not being bitten and get control of it, and do whatever we've taught you in DT class and get control and put them on their face and put handcuffs on them. Like, he's not going to fucking bite you. I swear to God, he's not going to come off. I promise. Like, just get in there and fucking, I don't care. Don't worry about the dog, but get in there and put them on their face. And that, I have a couple of guys that are FTOs that come to our training group, and they'll bring new officers or deputies to it. I'm like, ooh, guess what you're doing tonight? They're like, what? I'm like, you're yanking people out of bathroom stalls. I'm like, what? Then you're like, and it becomes a thing. So the dog goes in and bites. I'm like, go get him, put him in handcuffs. You're like, what? And some of my decoys are like, yeah, go get him, put him in handcuffs, go get him.
Like, I'm telling you right now, if you do that drill like with Rob at his department, like, go ahead and you're not going to do it. Unless you do absolute perfect double kimuras, 2 guys or whatever, maybe you can get it, but you're not going to get it. It's
it's hard to kimura with the dog on one arm.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. Yes. I wish more guys would do. I wish I would have started younger, like everybody says, but I wish more guys would do it, especially because when I was at the PD and in law enforcement, unless a gym was like, yeah, hey, we give 50% off for cops, or we do this or do that for cops. I couldn't afford it because we didn't make anything. But now they have like a whole program where they'll pay, I think it's half of, they give you a certain amount. Well, I forget what that's called. Adopt a cop.
Yeah.
I think Adopt a Cop.
Oh, yeah.
Some money towards your thing. I mean, there's ways. Like you said, you let them come for free, man. Come to a class. Come to a class.
Yeah. This is my standing offer to all my guys or anyone in my department, but, very few. Very few are going to take you up on it. But the ones that do, man, like, I mean, you could see the change in them once they start training for a little bit. And I always say, like, the attitude, mentality of a guy that's going to go out there and train is the same qualities that you want in someone in your unit. Like the guy that's going to go outside his work hours and work on this and try to better himself. I actually ran that scenario with my dog. I had another decoy catch him, and I went in there to go take him down, just to show the guys, like, this is what I would do. It did not end well for him. We got a video of me. I think just for fun, I put him in a crucifix armbar with my dog attached to his other arm. And
oh my God, you got to send that, man. I got to see that one.
What?
I thought you could say Uchamata them both. And
no. Yeah, my dog, that he was like 105 or 110 pounds at that time. So, I mean, he was wearing it on both arms.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, that's
hilarious.
They do a video too.
We've had a couple of people get put in finger locks at seminars, like handlers are just like, and you're like, ah! So we have to tell everybody now, like, hey, don't break anybody's fingers. Like, don't.
On the street, do your thing. That's a bitch.
Break fucking fingers.
Well, dude, I'm glad you were able to come on. It was kind of last minute, a couple days ago, but I'm glad you're brass. Dude, we've had guys that went through their brass to ask permission. It took a month. That's crazy. So I'm glad you have that relationship that they answered quick. And then plus they trust you're not going to, say something dumb shit. But what is your Instagram handle?
So the Okayest Canine Handler, or Okayest Canine Handler is why it's kind of like my shtick here. So anyone that wants to reach out to me, they can find me on there. And then like if guys from other agencies want to reach out, they can message me. Like I said, for this next year, I'm trying to take my unit outside of our Central Florida bubble and go train with some other places and see what guys are doing and show them what we're doing and just kind of expand our network.
Yeah. Well, I loved it. I love coming down there. We're going to see. I'm going to talk to Joe about Hold the Line. I know he's got everything for 26, but he's looking at 27 to get you in there to talk. It's good because there's not enough, right? Or a guy's a supervisor at a department with 3 dogs.
Yeah.
But you have a lot. So it's hard to beat that resume, you know what I mean?
There's a lot of lessons that we learn the hard way that, I mean, like, if I could pass them on, be like, hey, this is what happened with us. This is how we got over it. And then maybe like they don't make the same mistakes. Because, I've trained, I think I was telling her earlier, I think I put through like 22 dogs in the last 2 years. Through schools. You learn a lot putting that many dogs through schools. And then on top of that, supervising this many people, you run the gamut of problems.
35 personalities, right? So Ted, talk about real quick before we sign off the giveaway.
So we have stuff from, all of our sponsors, and a couple of other ones outside of our sponsor network. But you have to go to, where is it? Where do we have that posted? It's on the Instagram page, about how to get there. And you go to, I have to look it up, but you have to go to, we're giving away a single dog, enclosure from Horizon Structures. And like the one with all the shit in it, like they'll build it how you want it. I think there's some parameters, but it's not like anything crazy. Like they're not going to put like travertine tile in it or anything for you, but it's a fucking police dog. They don't need it anyway. So, there's a way to do it. If you go to if you go to Working Dog Radio's, Facebook page or Instagram page or mine or Eric's, there's the link that's on there to do it, but you have to go to their page and sign up for it. And it's sometime in February, I think February 17th is when we cut the date off for signups, if I remember correctly. So
yeah, we got a lot of stuff from Ray Allen. Eric from Worthless Handler jumped in, has got some stuff.
Yep.
Everybody, a lot of us. KINETIC is
Yes.
dumping some food in there for us, man. It's good stuff.
Arnaud is giving us some stuff from ALM.
Nice.
So DOGTRA has already said they give us some stuff. I don't know what they're giving us, but I'm sure they'll send me a 150-pound box of $10,000 stuff.
Yeah, we have this.
like they did last time, and I'm like, holy shit!
It took a minute to give that away.
Yeah, it did. So we'll be giving all that stuff away after the first of the year, but we start signing up now for the login. But keep watching
in February.
Yeah, picks in February. I think February 17th is when we have it picked for.
All right, you guys know all of our where to find us. We go over it over and over again. So
yeah,
Rob, loved having you on. Appreciate it. Can't wait to get back down there. I'm going to be back in Winter Haven. I think it's in February, so I'll make sure I come down for your noon class on one of those days.
Yeah, come on by.
I'll come and you can teach me some more killer stuff. I've used almost everything that you showed me. Just gift wrap after gift wrap because that's what we're working on. I hit your Cobra one. I didn't say fuck you right before I did it, but and it's funny. I showed this wipeout at this, and I told you how we do the 6 o'clock adult class.
Somebody that's been with us since the beginning is Arnaud at ALM, based out in Vegas. Arnaud makes fantastic bite suits. I've been a senior level PSA decoy for a long time. All of my trial suits are ALMs. I love them. I've sent my one jacket back multiple times to have new sleeves put on it because it fits so well. Arnaud works with you through the process, helps you get a design set up. In fact, when I went out to see him in Vegas, he had my original design still in my original pattern still in the workshop there, and he was able to make me another jacket just out of the one that I have that's like 10 years old. He made me another one. Super high quality materials, super high quality stitching. Great service after the fact if you have to have repair work done. Hit him up, ALM K9 Equipment. That's the letter K number 9.com. ALM K9 Equipment. Use the discount code WD Radio for 10% off. Another person that has been with us since the beginning is the person that wrote the music for the intro and the outro on this. His name's Brother Dege. He's no longer with us. He's a super talented musician, and I actually met him at a live show here in Tulsa. Super nice guy. He was super supportive of what we do here and what police dogs do in general. And he was gracious enough to allow us to use the music for that. Yeah, wherever you're at, you can look at him on iTunes and on Spotify. Just Brother Dege, spelled Dege, and it's brotherdege.net.
The senior belt person shows the adults, because there's a kids class going on at the same time, and then 7 o'clock's all adults. And I showed them the first 2 gift wrap chokes, and then the second 2 the next time. And I was showing them with the gi with the lapel, a couple of those. So this wipeout, who I know was in that class, we're rolling yesterday, and I let him get to that spot. Like, he gets the gift wrap, and he's fucking around. He's trying to get a choke in like that, a punch choke, and I'm like, nope. And so then I waited, and then I escaped. And as soon as I escaped, timer goes off. I go, dude, grab the fucking. He goes, see, I suck. I know you taught me that. I just forgot it. And I'm like, you've been here 6 months, of course. So I loved it. I like that stuff. I get killed all the time. Sometimes I do okay, but it's never, even the worst day in jiu-jitsu, I still feel pretty good when I leave. I've gone into jiu-jitsu really in a bad mood, really, really mad. I've never left there in a bad mood. Even I'm talking about well, the only people here today are purple belts and up, and then, it's not going to be a good day, but oh well, that's okay. There's nothing wrong. I didn't get hurt.
Yeah, same.
I know how to tap. You get good at that shit. But I feel good being uncomfortable,
Yep.
So,
Same here.
All right, man. Be safe. Tell the boys I said, hey.
I'll do that.
Good group down there. So, all right.
Yep. All right, guys. We'll see you on the next one.
Welcome to Working Dog Radio.